Alright, for you guys who have not done real estate photography yet, you'll learn very quickly that the sky is almost never ideal. Most of the time, it's either overcast or the house is backlit, or even if if it's a sunny day and there's a blue sky, sometimes the color blue isn't flattering for some reason due to the HDR. Whatever the case, I'm doing sky replacements on about 95% of the listings that I do. It's super easy to do. We're just going to take our photo that we're going to replace and edit it in Photoshop. And we're going to edit a copy with Lightroom adjustments. All right, now that we're in Photoshop, we need to do this sky replacement. So the easiest way to do a sky replacement is to just go up to edit and click sky replacement. So Photoshop does have some skies that are pretty good, some nice blue skies. Like this one. I've used this one before in the past and it works just fine. However, I have a better sky. I actually took this picture of this sky myself and I've used it on almost every listing I've ever done and it's done me very well. So you're just going to go to import and you're going to go into your, I have my editing files on my desktop, the sky, and then just click open. So now you can select it. It's a nice, I like the color of the sky, the hue of it, and it's nice and bright. So I'm just going to click out of this and now you can see all these options. So shift edge, you can kind of see what it's doing here. It's making it more or less intense. For this one, we can just keep that where it is. And then fade edge, brightness, temperature, you can adjust the temperature of the sky if it's not matching up with the image. Scale, it's kind of adjusting the size of the sky against the background. So you can just usually keep that where it is. And then flip. So this flip option, very important. A lot of times you'll be doing 10 sky replacements all at once. So the first sky, you might just do it normal, but the second sky, you want to hit flip. And then the third sky, you want to keep it and not hit flip. And then the fourth one, you want to hit flip. So why do you want to do that? So when you're flipping back and forth between the images, like if image 1, image 2, image 3 all have the exact same sky and the exact same location, but different angles of the house, it's going to look weird clicking through those. But if you just flip the sky from image to image, you won't get that effect. So just keep that in mind. And then lighting adjustment, it's foreground adjustment. So it's basically how much does the sky influence some color corrections on the foreground. So as you can see, it's changing it a little bit, but you can usually just keep these where they were. So I'm just gonna hit OK. So as you can see, the sky is replaced. In this case, you could just go ahead and save this image. So this image is good enough that I could just go ahead and save this and be done with it, move on to the next one. But I just want to show you something real quick. So I'm going to click on the entire sky replacement and then I'm going to add a mask. So why would I do this? So sometimes the sky, when it does this, will impede a little bit on the roof line. In this case, it's not really doing it, but if you ever have like a white line on the outside of the roof, like if the roof is outlined in white, like a white border, a lot of times the sky will kind of come in on it. As you can see kind of in this chimney right here, you can kind of see the steel plate turn blue a little bit. And honestly, for this, I'm not going to worry about that. But if that was the entire border of the house, then we'd have to do something about it. So if we have blue from the sky kind of getting into the roof line, what we'll do is we'll make the mask and then we'll come over here and we'll make sure we're selecting our brush tool. Size, you'll probably have to adjust the size, but like around 95. Opacity 100. And then you just zoom in and make sure you have black selected on the mask tool. And you can just delete. As you can see, we made it a little lighter because the sky does influence the foreground. But you wouldn't have to do this unless it was blue. And you just come around the border and you'd mask the sky out, which you can kind of see I'm doing a little bit here. But in this image, you wouldn't really have to do it. So this image is good enough where I'm not worried about doing any more edits to this. I could just save it and move on. All right, so let's imagine that didn't work because sometimes Photoshop isn't able to recognize the sky. So as you can see, the sky is pretty obvious here where it is, but in some cases, like if the trees behind the house were really dense, or if it's just a small corner of the screen that the sky takes up, sometimes Photoshop doesn't recognize that as an actual sky. So I'm just going to delete this sky replacement. And in that case, you have to manually replace the sky. And manually replacing the sky is actually really easy as well. It's just a few extra steps. So we're just going to go into our editing files and drag our sky on top. Then we're going to size it, moving it up to where we want it to be. Then we're going to control click on our sky, hit blending options, and then make sure you have blend if gray selected. Then we're going to select the underlying layer and we're going to move this slider until what we're trying to do is we're trying to make it so the trees don't look weird. So as you can see here, the trees kind of look weird. They have this weird gray around them. Right about, I'd say here, the trees look pretty natural. We're not going to worry about the house right now. So we're just going to hit OK. We're going to add a mask to the sky. And we are going to make sure our brush tool is selected. 95 is a good size. Opacity 100, flow 100. And then what we're going to do is we are going to delete the sky where it's not supposed to be. And all I'm doing is clicking where I want to start the line, and then hitting shift and clicking where I want to end the line. So very simple, just brushing out the sky. And what I like to do is I use like I'm using a 95, a size 95 right now to get all this kind of details on the border. But just so I don't miss anything, a lot of times I will use a larger brush to get the majority of the scene. So I just got to make this a little smaller to get into this kind of corner. Make sure I get all that. All right. As you can see, there's still some blue, but just to make sure I don't get anything, I'm just going to make it a really big brush and just drag it across the entire area, just so I'm not missing anything. And that looks pretty good to me. It honestly looks a little better quality than Photoshop's sky replacement button, but Photoshop's sky replacement button is just so much easier that that's what I'm going to use 90% of the time. All right, now we're just going to combine these by selecting them and then doing Command or Control E. All right, and once we have those combined, we're just going to save this and it will show up right next to our unsky replaced image in Lightroom. So as you can see, with the sky replaced, it is a whole lot better. So these images are flagged because we were just selecting them for the edits. So I would just go over and unflag the image that we did not replace the sky of. So, and once you do that, you're good to export your exteriors. Sometimes, like this image, I can see there's a slight green tint on it. So I'm gonna wanna go towards the magenta a little bit to get that taken care of. And then maybe I'd want to add some saturation into the image after the sky has been added, just to give it a little more pop. For edits after you've replaced the sky, there's really not much to do. You can usually just export this with your exteriors and your final images and you should be good to go. So we do have one more case I want to show you. All right, now the third and final case. So in this image, as you can see, there's a nice white border around the outline of this house. So when we bring this into Photoshop and we do the sky replacement, as you see, there's a little gray haze here. So I'm going to shift this edge and to make it a little more defined. But when I do that, as you can see, the outline of this house is turning blue and you can see the sky is kind of blending into the outline of this house. So we don't want that. And there's a very easy fix. We just hit the sky replacement, the entire group, put a mask over it, and then we make sure we're on our brush tool, size, small size brush, and we're just gonna go on the outline. So we need a smaller brush to get this corner. And I wouldn't go too crazy with this. Like I wouldn't even bother with down there, that house. Maybe do these other houses over here because this is pretty bad over on this gutter. Yeah, we'll just basically just all we're doing is getting all the weirdness out, because we want this to look as natural as possible. Alright, and that should be good, and we should just be able to save this, and yeah, we're good to go. So that's the last thing that need to be said about sky replacements. Some are just really easy, it's 2 clicks to do the whole thing. Some require a little extra work, but just how the job comes. So I'll see you guys in the next video.